14 hours from Tokyo. An $8 billion deal closed. David cut the engine, expecting a quiet homecoming. Instead, he walked into a slaughter. He stepped through the side entrance and dropped his briefcase. No warm welcome, no quiet homecoming, just a voice that cut through the sterile kitchen air. "I told you not to use the front entrance when I have guests. What kind of impression do you think this gives my clients' wives?" It was Isabella, his wife, but the tone wasn't the honeyed, philanthropic cadence she used at charity galas. It was venomous. The target of her venom was Ruth, 67 years old, arthritic hands gripping a sponge, the same hands that pulled a 9-year-old David out of a Chicago foster home 30 years ago. David froze behind the imported marble column. The blood in his veins turned to ice. "I'm sorry, Miss Isabella. I just wanted to—" Ruth's voice, usually so vibrant and warm, was a broken, trembling rasp. "I don't care what you wanted," Isabella snapped. She slammed a manicured hand against the granite counter. "You're the maid here, not the queen of the house just because my husband has this strange obsession with you." Maid. David gripped the marble wall, bracing himself as he looked around the corner. Ruth was wearing a stiff gray cleaning uniform. Her hands, the same hands that wiped away his childhood night terrors, white-knuckled a mug of cold water, shaking. "And another thing," Isabella continued. Her designer heels clicked sharply against the hardwood as she paced. "Stop leaving your coarse hair in the drain of the bathroom you use. It's revolting. Starting today, you'll use the washroom in the basement storage area." Ruth shrank in on herself. Her eyes stayed fixed on the floor. "But the basement bathroom doesn't have heating," she murmured. It was a desperate plea for basic human dignity. "Then wear a sweater, Ruth. You need to remember your place. You were a state-funded babysitter. Don't confuse David's charity with you actually belonging in my house."
Standing in the shadows, David didn't burst into the kitchen. He didn't scream. The tech billionaire vanished, and the scrappy kid from Chicago took the wheel. He knew the men he destroyed in Silicon Valley boardrooms didn't lose because he yelled. They lost because he was a master of asymmetrical warfare. If Isabella was openly humiliating the woman who had made his empire possible right out in the open, what the hell was she doing when he was halfway across the world? He reached into his suit jacket. His thumbs slid over the sleek glass of his smartphone. With a few silent taps, he accessed the mansion's hidden security matrix. It was a system he had installed strictly to protect his family. He never imagined the threat was already sleeping in his bed. For the next 3 hours, David locked himself in the soundproof sanctuary of his home office. He watched the digital archives of his wife's cruelty. The footage made him physically sick. He watched Isabella force a shivering Ruth to eat cold leftovers in the basement, while she ate DoorDash Nogu upstairs. There was Isabella swiping a homemade anniversary cake into the trash, blowing out the candles and laughing directly into the camera. And then he found the digital footprint, a private WhatsApp group dubbed Malibu Elite Wives. Here, Isabella meticulously documented her plan. She was going to gaslight Ruth into a dementia diagnosis. She planned to secure a legal guardianship and lock the woman who raised a billionaire in a state-run facility forever. Isabella thought she was playing a cute game of Malibu survival of the fittest. She just forgot who owned the food chain. The next morning, David sat at the head of the dining table, stone cold, drinking black coffee. Right on cue, Isabella floated in. She was wrapped in a silk robe, smelling of expensive jasmine and rehearsed innocence. She trailed a manicured hand across his shoulders before taking her seat. "Honey, I hate to burden you the second you're back from Tokyo," she began, her brow furrowed in a picture-perfect display of concern. "But we really need to talk about your mother. Her episodes are getting worse." Before David could answer, the swinging door from the kitchen creaked open. Ruth shuffled in,
She was still trapped in that degrading gray uniform, carrying a silver platter of French toast. Her eyes were downcast, her shoulders curled inward, as if expecting a physical blow. "Just put it down, Ruth," Isabella snapped. The sweet facade vanished for a fraction of a second before returning. "Yesterday, I found her trying to cook at 3 in the morning," Isabella lied smoothly, locking eyes with David. "She was completely disoriented, and she keeps leaving the water running. It's becoming a safety hazard, David, for all of us." Ruth's breath hitched. She opened her mouth, her voice barely a whisper. I just wanted a glass of water, ma'am. I didn't—" "Shut up, Ruth," Isabella interrupted, shaking her head tragically. "You see, she's losing her grip on reality. It's pitiful." David didn't yell. He took a slow sip of his coffee, set the cup down, and looked his wife dead in the eye. A faint, dead-eyed smile crossed his lips. "Is that so?" David murmured, his voice smooth and devoid of any emotion. "And what do you suggest we do, Bella?"
Well, I've been doing some research. There's a facility called Sunny Acres. They specialize in cognitive decline. It's highly respected, David. I even started the preliminary paperwork, just to save you the heartache. It's what's best for her. She needs professional confinement, and we need our lives back. Isabella smiled, blind to the trap snapping shut around her ankle. She reached across the marble table, patting his hand. David let her. David gently withdrew his hand. He stood up and buttoned his suit jacket with meticulous precision. "You're right," he said softly, looking down at his wife. "We need to handle this permanently. Let me make a few calls." He walked out to the driveway, leaving Isabella to her arrogant triumph. Sliding into the silent cabin of his Mercedes, his calm facade finally hardened into something lethal. He pulled out his encrypted phone and dialed a number that bypassed his corporate assistants entirely. "Rivera," David said, addressing the former LAPD detective turned private investigator. "She's accelerating the timeline, forging medical documents for involuntary commitment. I want the forensic sweep of her phone by Friday's charity gala. Oh, and call James at the law firm. Tell him to draft the divorce papers with the abuse clauses activated. Freeze the offshore accounts. It's time to pull the plug." Friday evening, the Malibu charity gala. Isabella descended the grand staircase of their mansion in a custom Valentino gown. She was practically vibrating with the thrill of her impending victory. "The van from Sunny Acres comes on Monday," she purred. She checked her diamond earrings in the foyer mirror. "I've signed the final conservatorship papers. Problem solved. Forever." David adjusted his platinum cufflinks. He didn't look angry. He looked like a man about to execute a corporate hostile takeover. "That's fascinating," David replied, his voice a low, lethal hum. "Because I just got off the phone with Dr. Peterson at the facility. He wanted to verify if I had actually authorized you to forge my signature on federal medical admission documents." Isabella's triumphant smirk vanished. The blood drained from her face, leaving her looking hollow. Her eyes grew wide with sudden, suffocating terror. What are you talking about?" she stammered. The honeyed confidence was entirely stripped away. David pulled out his phone, tapping the screen once. "Falsifying medical records to commit a sane woman to a psychiatric hold is a felony, Bella. And building a fake dossier of dementia." He swiped his finger, projecting screenshots of her fabricated notes onto the massive living room smart TV. "That's an interesting strategy, especially considering Ruth passed all cognitive evaluations I secretly arranged for her last week."
Pure panic replaced her arrogance. "You hacked my phone," Isabella stammered, backing away. David didn't blink. I audited a liability. As he spoke, the phones of every elite guest mingling on the terrace outside began to chime simultaneously. TMZ, the LA Times, Page 6, all flashing the same breaking headline. Malibu elite wives run elder abuse scheme. David had released the entire encrypted WhatsApp chat history to the press. Every racist slur, every cruel plot to discard inconvenient relatives was currently being blasted across the internet in high definition. Outside on the terrace, the music stopped. Isabella watched her wealthy friends stare at their phones, then turn and sprint for their town cars. My lawyer has already filed the paperwork, David continued, stepping closer. He let the absolute crushing weight of her ruin settle over her. You're leaving this mansion with exactly what you brought into it, nothing. And the FBI is highly interested in your little medical fraud ring. Just then, Ruth emerged from the hallway. She wasn't hunched over in a maid's uniform anymore. She wore an elegant, tailored emerald dress. She stood tall, completely unbothered. You don't have to change for me, ma'am. Her voice was dead calm. You just have to get out of my family's life. A year later, Isabella's Malibu kingdom was reduced to a cramped studio apartment. And David? He was back in Chicago, building a youth center, with Ruth right by his side.